Hi everyone, today we are going to read Desmond Cole Ghost Patrol number 4, Night of the Zombie Zookeeper. It sounds very scary. Are you ready to read? Then let's go. Chapter 1. Zoos are cool. Everybody loves the zoo, right? Hey, who doesn't like cool animals? Who doesn't want to spend the day hanging out with lions, tigers, bears, and snakes? Okay, maybe not the snakes. They make my skin crawl. But the rest of the zoo, believe it or not, I'm just like every other kid. I love zoos. Where else can you see animals from all over the world in one place, up close? Not to mention the merry-go-round, ice cream stands, and a train that goes all the way around the park. Want to get from the apps to the petting farm without standing up? Then all aboard the Zoo Choo train. Zoos even have the coolest gift shops. They have huge stuffed animals and stretchy rubber snakes. Oh, in case you didn't know, I think fake snakes are fine. The gift shop also has t-shirts, magnets, and those keychains with your name on it. Of course, they never have a keychain with Andres on it, so maybe I don't like the keychain so much. But still, the zoo is great. It's kind of great. Well, except for the snakes, like I said, also the zoo always has peacocks roaming free across the grounds. I have never trusted those peacocks. Why are they allowed to walk around? It's not like they're here to see the other animals. I'll tell you what they are after. Food. I had a bad run-in with the peacock one time. That sneaky bird stole a soft pretzel right on my hand, and the pretzel was still warm. And I'll never forget the time I spilled the bird food all over myself in the bird habitat. That did not turn out well. Now that I think about it, once I was feeding a goat at the zoo, but the goat ate my video game instead of his real food. Okay, maybe I shouldn't have been playing it while I was feeding the goat, but I was just about to beat my high score. It's no wonder the animals are always looking for something new to eat. Have you seen what the zoo feeds them? Leaves, cold fish, and something called pellets, whatever that is. But none of that food is half as bad as what the zookeeper is carrying in that bucket now. It looks like something Desmond Cole's mom would make, something she has made. But that's not why Desmond and I are telling this zookeeper. We're the Ghost Patrol. Maybe you can see us hiding right here. See, there's something odd about this zookeeper. Chapter 2. The Last Row. It was one of those days all kids look forward to. Field Trip Day! How cool was it that our class got to leave school while everybody else was still in their classrooms? And how cooler was it that we got to hop on a school bus while everybody else watched through the windows of Kirksville Elementary? I'll tell you, it was very cool. Unless you're one of those kids who was stuck in class, of course. Lucky for me, I wasn't one of them. And neither was Desmond Cole. We were going to the Kirksville Zoo. This was my first field trip since I moved to town. When you get on a school bus, everybody knows how important it is to choose the right seat. You have to pick the perfect one for the mood you're in. If you like bouncing, pick the row over the wheels. If you worry about being carsick, sit in the front row because looking through the windshield will help the puck slide back down. And I should know, my parents say that I am a pro at being carsick. But that morning I felt great, and Desmond Cole was making a plan. Everybody knows that when you make a plan on a bus, there's only one place that will work: the last row. Okay, Andres, he said, I worked on this plan last night. If we follow this map, we'll get to see as much of the zoo as possible, and we won't miss out on any of the best animals. Desmond has spent a lot of time on this map. It has labels stuck all over it and a trail highlighted in neon orange ink. Desmond pointed. Here's where we start with the giraffes. Then we move on to the rhinos and elephants since they like to come out and in the mornings. That makes sense, I said. I was impressed so far. Then we move on to the birds in the afternoon, Desmond said. I nodded. But we can't feed the birds, I reminded him. No problem, he replied. We won't have time. Remember, we have to stick to the map. That was when he told me the rest of his plan. As he talked, I got more and more excited. He had actually mapped out the perfect day at the zoo. We would even have time to go on the merry-go-round and buy stuff at the gift shop. I was afraid Desmond might have a secret ghost plan hidden up his sleeve, but all he talked about was the zoo. I leaned back and relaxed. It looked like we were going to have a normal fun day at the zoo. Chapter 3. Eat now, eat. The best thing about the Kirksville Zoo and my school is they believe kids should be able to explore and learn. Wait for it, on their own. I know, crazy, right? Of course, there were teachers and class parents on the trip with us. And yes, you still have to write a report about what we saw and learn at the zoo. But it was pretty cool that we didn't have to stick together the whole time. Instead, we had to stick with our body. That was easy because my body was my best friend, Desmond. While most of the kids headed for the bears, tigers, and lions, Desmond and I took off on our own adventure. We headed straight for the giraffes, just like we planned. As the giraffes exited, there was a wooden platform surrounded by thick trees. It was hard to see anything other than the leaves. Then we studied the giraffes. They were eating breakfast, if you could call a bunch of leaves breakfast. Can you believe nobody else is around? Desmond asked. The last time I was here, it was packed. I couldn't even see over all the grown-ups. Some of them even had little kids on their shoulders. That was not fair. We stood there and watched the giraffes. There were 4 adults and 3 young ones that were playing like a bunch of human kids. Suddenly, I got an eerie feeling. It felt like somebody was on the platform with us. We weren't alone anymore. That's when I heard a deep voice speaking slowly from behind me. Eat now, eat. Desmond and I whipped around and nearly hopped onto the nearest giraffe's long neck. The voice belonged to a zookeeper and he looked different. Yeah, he was wearing the regular zookeeper uniform. He had the khaki shirt and shorts and even a hat, but his eyes were big and his skin was a weird greenish color. Maybe he's not really green, I thought. Maybe it's just a reflection from all these trees. Then the zookeeper said it again. Eat. I swallowed hard and froze in place. He wants to eat us! That's when I noticed he was holding branches of leaves. Cool, Desmond said, taking one of the branches from the creepy zookeeper. Thank you. I didn't move a muscle. Come on, Andres, Desmond said, nudging me. We can feed these leaves to the giraffes. I breathed a sigh of relief. Sure, the zookeeper looked like a little bit green, but that didn't mean he was going to eat us. I took the other branch from him and tried to smile. Thanks, I managed to say. The zookeeper stayed quiet. He just looked at us with an empty gaze. Then Desmond and I waved the leaves as the giraffes came over to chomp the branches in our head. I couldn't believe how close we were to them. It was amazing. When all my leaves were gone, I noticed Desmond wasn't feeding the giraffes anymore. He was staring at the zookeeper, who was now walking away. Hey, Andres, he said, how do you feel about changing our zoo plan? I think we should go see the seals and penguins next. That was where the zookeeper was headed. Desmond wanted to follow him. Oh no, I thought. The Ghost Patrol had found another case. Chapter 4. Hold Your Breath. Desmond and I pushed open the double doors to a seal area. The smell was like getting hit in the face with a bag of stinky cheese and rotten eggs, all soaked in vinegar. Oof! I said, covering my mouth with my hand. What's that smell? Desmond asked. His face was scrunched up. Seals, I answered. They spend a lot of time in water, but they smell like they need a bath. The doors closed behind us, and we were swallowed up by the darkness. I held my breath. The only light was a murky blue-gray one from down a long corridor. Cold air blew on us as we walked toward the light. Finally, I asked Desmond, what are we doing here? He whispered, it's the zookeeper. There's something funny going on with him. I shook my head. He looked a little scary, but he was nice. He gave us the giraffe food. I know, Desmond said, but I still want to follow him, just in case. I hadn't known Desmond all that long, but it was long enough to know that when his spooky alarms go off, he was always right. When we got closer to the light, we saw that it came from a large window that looked out onto a murky blue world. The glass was covered in dirty smudges though, so it was kind of hard to make out what was inside. But then there was a splash. It was water. Suddenly, we could see seals swimming and darting around. It was pretty awesome. Desmond and I sat there alone. We couldn't take our eyes away from the seals. Splash! A seal swam around for a little while, then jumped back out onto the land above. Another seal followed and did the exact same thing. Maybe they were playing a game. It was fun to watch. Desmond was still looking for the zookeeper, but he was nowhere in sight. Maybe we should go, Desmond said. He seemed disappointed. Before I could answer, we heard splash! This time it wasn't a seal diving into the water. It was the zookeeper. He swam all the way to the bottom and stood in front of the window, looking right at us with the same blank expression he had before. Then he pulled out a sponge and started cleaning the dirty window. After only a few wipes, the view was crystal clear. See, Desmond, I said, he's just doing his job. There's nothing to worry about. Yeah, he's doing his job, Desmond said, but he's doing it underwater, and he's doing it without any air. I gasped. Desmond was right. We both stood with our mouths hung open in horror. I started to panic. The zookeeper was spending too much time underwater without any scuba gear or anything. I could tell that Desmond and I were both wondering the same thing. This isn't possible. How is a zookeeper breathing? Chapter 5 Snakes or Spiders? It didn't take Desmond and me more than a few seconds to decide what we had to do. Run! The problem was that I thought we were running away from the zookeeper. It turned out Desmond Cole was running after him. Before I knew it, we were on the top side of the seal area. The seals were resting on rocks in the sun. Everything seemed really normal. Over there, Desmond said, pointing to the wet footprints on the ground that led toward the lion area. Let's follow the zookeeper. But, I said, trying to change the subject. What about your map? Maybe we should forget about the mystery and stick to your zoo plan. Desmond grabbed my arm and pulled me. We need to go now. The next thing I knew, Desmond and I were running toward the lion exhibit. It looked like a forest with trees and huge rocks for the lions to rest on. We found a spot where we could spy on the zookeeper. He was inside the enclosure, right next to the lions. First, we watched him feed raw steaks to the lions. The crazy thing was that he fed them with his bare hands. I almost passed out whenever a lion snapped at the meat, and each time the zookeeper pulled his hand back, he still had all his fingers. Next, we followed the zookeeper to the hippopotamus area and watched him brush a hippo's teeth. Weird, I know. Then he flossed the hippo's teeth too. Gross! Then we tracked him to the snake big house and watched him go into the section with all the deadly snakes and collect their venom. It was terrifying. I would have fainted right there, but we were too close to the spider exhibit. I did not want to wake up wrapped in spider webs. Now I couldn't decide which to be more afraid of, spiders, snakes, or this Jenny zookeeper. Urgh! I'm worried he's going to get hurt, Desmond whispered. There's definitely something strange going on here. Then I had a brilliant plan on how to make my escape. We better go warn somebody, I said. Desmond nodded. We ran out of the snake and spider areas and found another zookeeper. She was dressed exactly the same as the creepy zookeeper, but she wasn't green. Hey kids, she said. I'm Peggy. Are you enjoying the... Wait, this is important, I cried, interrupting her. We have to tell you something. And that's exactly what we did. We told her everything we had seen, every single detail. Then we waited for her to tell us she was going to get to the bottom of this mystery. But that's not what happened. All she did was reach into her pocket and pull out a pair of tickets. You boys don't need to worry, she said, smiling at us. Here are 2 free passes for the merry-go-round. Go have fun. But, Desmond began. Run along, Peggy said, pointing us in the directions of the merry-go-round. Just have fun. It's easy. Fun. Something told me having fun wasn't going to be as easy as it sounded. Chapter 6 The Disease. We found the merry-go-round. Nobody is too old for the merry-go-round at the zoo. Why? Because they have every kind of animal you could possibly want to ride. They don't just have horses. They have cute panda bears and wild tigers. Desmond Cole, of course, wanted to ride the weirdest animal they had, a praying mantis. Me, I rode the skunk because nobody messes with skunks. Not unless they want to walk away smelling worse than a bunch of seals. Desmond and I were the only people on the merry-go-round. The man operating the ride gave us a nod, and then the ride started. Desmond sat up on his praying mantis and looked out onto the park. I wish this ride would go faster, he said. We've got to find the zookeeper. I've got a hunch about him. Have you ever heard of zombies? I had to clutch the neck of my skunk just to keep from falling off. Zombies? I asked. Zombies that eat brains? They're real? Maybe, Desmond said. I think we may have found a zombie zookeeper. In that case, I think we should let him get away, I told Desmond. But I knew Desmond wasn't the kind of kid who let mysteries like that go unsolved. Nothing stopped him, not even zombies. Desmond was on the case. There was nothing I could do. So I tried to relax and enjoy this unzombied merry-go-round. Everything was great at first. It was nice, slow ride. Then we started picking up speed. I gripped the pole tighter and held on for dear life as we spun faster and faster and faster. Then we zipped past the control booth. Guess who was operating the merry-go-round? The zombie zookeeper. The ride picked up even more speed, and Desmond and I had to wrap our arms around our poles just to keep from flying up. What is the zombie zookeeper up to? We had only one chance to save ourselves. Still clutching our poles, Desmond and I jumped down from our animals and grabbed onto the animal next to ours. Then we grabbed the animal next to that one. Pretty soon we reached the sixth most normal, boring place on the merry-go-round, the sleigh. The sleigh didn't go up or down, it just stayed put. Plus, even when the merry-go-round was spinning fast, being in the sleigh felt like you were barely moving. It's the place where all the parents and newborn babies sit. Finally, the ride slowed down to a stop, but we had a bad case of the disease. It seemed like the zoo was spinning around us at top speed. When I was able to focus again, I looked over the controls box and the zombie zookeeper was gone. We had to find him, Desmond said. We? I asked. Desmond pulled me off the sleigh. Come on, he said. Desmond and I jumped off the merry-go-round, right smack into the Peggy, the non-zombie zookeeper. Your class is having lunch now, she said. Follow me to the cafeteria. Desmond folded his arms. But we were getting ready to come along, Peggy said, ignoring him. Desmond and I followed Peggy to the cafeteria. Desmond might have been upset that he lost the trail of the zombie zookeeper, but I was happy. After what that creepy zookeeper had just put us through, I needed time to let my stomach settle back down. Chapter 7, Pickup Patrol. In the outdoor cafeteria, the entire class sat at picnic tables in the sunshine. We were even given hamburgers, french fries, and apples for lunch. I picked up my apple and began munching. Desmond was eating so fast that it looked like he thought someone was going to steal his lunch. That was when I remembered his mom's cooking and how he had to eat that food every night. Her food even gave Ghost tummy troubles. No wonder Desmond was eating this lunch so fast and with a smile on his face. All the kids were talking about the animals they had seen, but Desmond was still focused on only one thing. He pulled out his map and whispered to me, "We need to catch that zombie off guard, someplace where he can't see us coming." My legs started to shake under the picnic table. Desmond pointed to an exhibit called Nighttime Animals. "There," he said, "this is a special show about nocturnal animals. Those are animals that only hunt at night." I already knew this, but I had just shoved a couple of french fries in my mouth, so I couldn't say anything. Desmond continued, "I'm sure the zombie zookeeper will end up at this exhibit, and that's when we'll make our move." Our move? Desmond looked so proud of his plan, but I needed answers. "And what exactly is our move?" I asked. But before Desmond could answer, a large rainbow of wings flapped open onto our table. "Oh no, a peacock!" And it grabbed my hamburger. "Not again!" I screamed as it flew off the table with my lunch. Okay, I have to admit, chasing after a hamburger-snatching bird probably wasn't the best idea I'd ever had. But in my defense, I was really hungry. As that bird took off with my eel, I jumped up and ran after it. No way was I going to let a bird steal my food a second time. But peacocks can fly. I don't mean fly like they move fast. I mean fly like with wings. That bird flew over a wall, and I was so determined to catch it, I scrambled over the wall right after it. I wasn't until I landed on the other side that it occurred to me why zoos have walls. I was in the buffalo habitat. Buffalo! Suddenly, I was surrounded by a group of curious beasts, and that peacock sat right beside them, eating my hamburger and making a high-pitched noise. It was laughing at me. As the beast came closer, I backed up against the wall. That's when I felt a hand reach over the wall and pull me back to safety. I turned around to say thanks to whoever saved me and came face to face with the zombie zookeeper. I heard a wail, something that sounded more like a siren than a scream. And yes, that sound had come from me. The zombie zookeeper might have saved my life, but I wasn't about to stick around to thank him. I ran back to my picnic table as fast as I could, still lunchless. No hamburger was worth that much trouble. Chapter 8. Bucket of Slime. As we got closer to the exhibit, I could feel myself start to tremble. Nighttime animals. Nocturnal animals of the world. Even the sign was scary. I have to tell you, being in the dark with animals and a zombie was not my idea of a good time. But the Ghost Patrol did what it had to do to get to the bottom of every mystery. We stepped inside and it instantly changed from day to night. It was dark, but not that dark. I breathed a sigh of relief. Secretly, I hoped this plan wouldn't work. and we could finish our day at the zoo without ever seeing the zombie zookeeper again. As we walked in the exhibit, we saw all kinds of animals. Owls hooted from their trees, bats flew overhead, and foxes and lemurs roamed around the fake forest floor. It was actually kind of neat seeing how animals live at night when most of us are sleeping. I was definitely going to write about this for my zoo report. Desmond, of course, was still searching the place for zombies. He kept thinking he saw the strange zookeeper. I would hear him scream, "Aha! Got you, zombie!" But it was never him. It was usually just some teacher or class parent. But that didn't stop Desmond. "Aha!" I heard Desmond scream again for the fourth or fifth time. This time, the teacher he scared ran right out of the exhibit. I couldn't help but laugh. That was when it happened. A perfectly good time at the zoo took a turn for the weird. We spotted the zombie zookeeper. He was walking with a bucket full of something slimy and gross. Like, really gross. And this is where the story began. I told you I needed to start from the beginning, right? Otherwise, would you have believed that I, Andres Mendoza, would be trying to trap a zombie zookeeper in the dark? Probably not. But Desmond and I were there, watching the zombie zookeeper. When he was close enough, Desmond jumped out of the darkness and screamed, "Aha! We've got you!" And just like everybody else had, the zombie zookeeper jumped too. And guess where that bucket of slimy grossness ended up? Yep, all over me. Chapter 9. Sniff. Being covered in goo isn't fun. I've been slain before by a ghost, but that was a different story. Being covered in the goo that nocturnal animals like to eat is probably one of the least fun things ever. And I couldn't scream. Screaming would have meant opening my mouth, and there was no way I was going to do that. So I just stood there, dripping with icky stuff. That's when I heard a noise behind me. Snip, 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 snip. It wasn't like one animal was sniffing. It sounded like 50 animals were sniffing in the air all at once. It didn't take long to realize they were sniffing me. Snip, 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 snip. "Oh no!" I whimpered through half-clenched teeth. All of a sudden, every nocturnal animal was swooping in. Bats licked my hair, foxes tugged at my shoelaces, and a giant owl cried and slashed at my hood. I was trying to lift me off the ground and fly me away. "Desmond, help!" I shrieked, but it wasn't Desmond who came to my rescue. It was the zombie zookeeper. He stepped in and calmly removed each animal. He picked up the fox and said, "No." He waved the bats away with a weird squeaking sound. Then he cried out just like an owl, and that owl flew away and left me all alone. "Come with me," the zombie said, and normally I would never listen to a zombie, but something told me that I should listen to this one. After all, he has saved my life twice in one day. Desmond and I followed him outside where the other zookeeper Peggy was standing. The zombie handed me a towel and said, "Sorry." Peggy looked at us and frowned. "Well, kids," she said, "I guess I have some explaining to do." Chapter 10. Zombie. "Hello, my name is Zombie." It turns out that Peggy already knew about the zombie. He works at the zoo. Everyone calls him Zombie. Desmond and I didn't know this before, but zombies make great zookeepers. They can speak to all the animals. Don't ask me how. They can clean windows underwater because they don't need to breathe. And they don't mind cleaning up the really stinky number twos. Also, zombies are never grossed out by the slimy, icky food they have to feed the animals. The best part is that the animals love zombie, and so do the other zookeepers like Peggy. She told us most people are too busy looking at all the cool animals. No one ever noticed that zombie was a zombie other than Desmond Cole. Anyway, when it comes to zombie zookeepers, well, Zombie is a keeper. Now, whatever Desmond and I go to the zoo, we have a great time. Zombie always invites the animals to come out, so we never miss seeing any of them. Plus, he makes sure those peacocks never bother me or steal my lunch. He's so cool that I almost wish I had a special zombie buddy in my life all the time. Almost. So, we finished Desmond Cole Ghost Patrol number 4, Night of the Zombie Zookeeper. You finished this book. Congratulations. See you next time. I will get more fun book next time. Bye.